Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. This is Dave Bondy. This is Keeping It Real. For those of you who are new, this is my show that I have on Sunday and Wednesday night. I left my job in the mainstream media back in April, and now I do my own independent journalism right here on Locals. This is called Locals. It's a place with no censorship, no algorithm. It's just like Facebook. It's just like Facebook, but there is no algorithm and no censorship here on Locals. Now, what I'm about to have, this episode, we're talking about the southern border, and this is going to be free for everyone to watch. Now, usually to watch all of my shows and to be able to comment, it's $5 a month because you're supporting my independent journalism. I left my high-paying job in TV news in order to do independent journalism, to be able to tell it like it is. And I need some funding to do that. So $5 a month to sign up to my Locals community. If you would like to do that, you can. But I also do a lot of stuff for free on here as well. This entire show is going to be free for everyone to watch because I think this is an issue that everyone needs to know about. My very first guest on my Locals channel was a woman named Allison. Her husband works for Border Patrol, I believe it is, and she is in Texas and along the border. And she told me some amazing stories about what's going on. And that was back in May or June, I believe it was. And now the situation continues, actually. I want to bring in a guest we have right here. Hello, sir. How are you doing? Introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, my name is Jaime Aguilar. I was born and raised here on the border. I specifically in the city of Del Rio, Texas. It's a little town of about 40,000 people, about 150 miles west of San Antonio.
Okay, so you grew up there. That's your whole life you've been there.
All of my life except for 10 years when we were living in San Antonio. But right
Okay.
now we're seeing, in the last 2 years, something that has never been seen before.
How over your time, being an adult and witnessing this, you've always had issues at the border, but like you said, you've never seen anything like this.
No, not in the numbers that we're experiencing right now. Some people that don't live here, it's hard to fathom how the numbers that we're seeing. It's getting to the point where we're getting such massive numbers that the holding facilities that the federal government has created can't hold them, so they're releasing them into the streets. And so it's a big concern, whether you're Democrat or Republican, one way or the other. It's a big concern for a lot of the locals here.
And you just said it right there. It shouldn't be Republican, Democrat, Independent. That's not what it should be about. But a lot of people try to make it political, but you just said it. It really shouldn't be, right?
It really shouldn't be. Your people are either one way or the other for immigration. But when you see the numbers that we're seeing, when you're seeing the things that happen here, just as an example, sometimes the cartels on the other side coordinate these runs, and it overwhelms the sector. And the supervisory positions within Border Patrol, they literally have to pull all of the agents out of a certain sector to come in and help with processing. And so that leaves huge miles and miles of swaths of land that are unprotected. So whether you are for one thing or another regarding immigration, I mean, that's also a national security concern.
I'm going to put up, I have a friend, she's Allie Bradley. She was a reporter.
Oh, yes, I listened to her.
Oh, you know her. Okay.
I don't know her, but I listened to her
Okay.
content.
She was an independent journalist, and then News Nation hired her, but she is really good about her information. I'm going to put a video just while we're talking, video of hers on the screen. She actually moved down there on her own just to cover this issue. And I'm going to put the video up. And I don't even know if you can see it on the screen.
Yes.
But video has. So I'm not even sure where this is at exactly. This might be the other area we were talking about that's 60 miles away from you.
That looks like it's an Eagle Pass.
Okay. This is nothing unusual, though, this sort of video, seeing this.
Unusual right now, no. No, this is exactly what we've been seeing here within the last year, 2 years.
Now, let me get into what your past, because I have lots of friends that here in Michigan, back in the day, a lot of people came from Texas to go to the work in the automotive industry here in Michigan. So I have a lot of friends that have family from Texas, but they were originally from Mexico. They came into the United States legally. Now, you're not saying you're anti-immigration. I think a lot of people confuse that, right?
Exactly. And I think the media has a lot to do with this. I don't know of, honestly, I don't know of anyone that is anti-immigration,
Yeah.
as long as it's legal. But I think what you're seeing right now is so far out of, it's so extraordinary. And it, like I said, it's raising a lot of concerns here. And I'm not even discussing what the ranchers are saying. Just from a standpoint of here living in a small town, what's happening here is got all sides, Democrat and Republican, very concerned. Our previous mayor was a Democrat, and he voiced concerns about this when this was happening. Right now in Eagle Pass, which is getting bombarded with this influx, the mayor is Democrat, and he is vehemently speaking out against what's happening right here.
I have a live chat going right now with people, and they're asking me questions. People who may not know what it's like down there, and they're asking me, has the crime rate gone up? I would assume yes, but my wife tells me never to assume anything.
Well, the crime rate, I think, is stayed about the same. I really don't know what the statistics are, but let me tell you what is happening.
Yeah.
Have you seen these high speed chases?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and see that is a concern. Last I believe it was in January, we had a high speed chase. There's several that happened throughout the day, but this one in particular happened right outside of our front yard. And my daughters called me into work to see if I can come home because they had just witnessed that high speed chase. They were getting something out of some groceries out of our vehicle, and luckily the where they were getting the groceries out was the door facing our yard, not the door facing the street. And that car zoomed by here about 80, 90 miles an hour, and down the block it hit a truck, and there were about 5 or 6 people that absconded. And so my daughters were, me and my wife both worked, so we weren't home, but they called me at work saying that, Dad, we heard that the people absconded there in the neighborhood. Can you come home because we're scared? And you see little instances like this is what I don't believe the media shows, the concern that average citizens like me have, and there are several high speed chases throughout the day here in this area, and Bracketville, which is a little town about 20 miles on the road, you constantly hear about high speed chases and people absconding. Now we don't know. Most of these people that are coming in just are willingly giving themselves up. It's these people that are on these high speed chases that you have to really wonder what their intentions are.
Yeah.
So it's scary. It's very concerning. And I have friends that are longtime Democrats, and many of them share the same concerns that all of us here have.
Gotcha. Let me put this up from Allie. This was a week ago or something. An asylum seeker crossed into the U.S. 4 months ago. He's now the suspect in the murder of a man in Houston. So, these are the sort of things I guess that we're starting to see. I mean, we had an incident here in Michigan in the Upper Peninsula or Northern Michigan where there was someone who had come to the country, committed a crime. So these are the sort of things we're starting to see, I guess, across the country.
Yes, and this bombardment that Eagle Pass is facing right now, a lot of those people that they're getting are from Venezuela. And are you familiar with what Maduro did several months ago? He literally opened their prisons and letting a lot of these people join the caravans. So, you know,
Is
I'm a
that
I'm
let
a father.
let let me interrupt you. I have had a lot of people messaging me telling me that. So you're telling me is that the president of Venezuela opened the prisons and we're seeing those
And
people now?
not only Venezuela, a lot of the I hear that some of these people coming in from Africa, the same thing. Some of those little countries over there have opened up the floodgates there, and a lot of them are from prison. But Venezuela specifically did that, and so you're getting MS-13 types here. a few months ago, I read a report where the MS-13 is actually telling their members not to get tattoos. So when they come in, it's not as visible, and when they do come in. And so um, I appreciate you telling this side of the story, because I'm not an expert on immigration. I can just tell you the perspective of someone who's lived on the
Yeah.
border most of his life, and share the concern that me and thousands of us here faced.
Why should all Americans, Michigan, Vermont, Kansas, why should everyone care?
Because it's coming to your door. As soon as see what the government has done here, Dave, they've created such a massive infrastructure. They've created these massive holding facilities, and when you have these facilities that hold a huge amount of people, they need an infrastructure. They need maintenance, hygiene, medical, legal. You have like the government contracting immigration attorneys. You need transportation. So a lot of these transportation companies have now gotten in, because the government pays well. I saw an ad about 2 months ago for I forget what the license is, CDL or something. Well, anyway, starting the salary was very high, and then if you go for some of these maintenance operations of these facilities, they pay $19-20 an hour, which for here, the socioeconomic status here in the border, $18-19 an hour is a lot of money for somebody just out of high school. And so you have Catholic Charities, you have Baptist ministry, you have the whole gamut of people coming in now, supporting this infrastructure. And I got to tell you, when you see the size of this operation, I feel that it's almost impossible to stop. And when you mentioned about how people in the mainland should feel in the heartland, well,
Yeah.
you're getting fentanyl, you're getting gang members, you're getting so much because of the genesis here on the border, that the government, this nightmare that it has created.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up. You mentioned Venezuela, and I just saw. Hold on here. This was when was this? This was September 20th.
Yeah,
The
last
Del
week.
Rio, that bridge. It said all these people right here, Venezuelans under the bridge in Eagle Pass.
Hmm.
That's wow.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think they had 4,000, but they were expecting so many more. And the like I said, the mayor of Eagle Pass, which is a Democrat, has really sounded the alarm, and they are now. I read I don't have it in front of me, but on Facebook somebody posted that they're now just releasing them into the public. And see the port of entry there, on that bridge, it's almost like in downtown area of Eagle Pass. And
oh, I didn't know
so
that.
and so a lot of the little businesses in the downtown area are were going to close out of precaution, out of safety.
Oh, that's sad. Let me walk it through for me. Example. And so someone crosses the border illegally. They're picked up by law enforcement. How does it work? Are they then processed and then are they released, or does it depend on the
Well,
day or the?
it depends. I mean, if they're claiming asylum, the government has to process them. And in when you're getting such a massive influx, a lot of the agents have to be pulled from the field to help with processing. And so they get sent to these holding facilities, but some of these holding facilities are over capacity, and so they're just literally released into the public with what's called a notice to appear.
Yep.
And they're several years down the road. It's not like next week, several years down the road. And then, like wink, wink, you're going to show up to this place to and but I uh, many of those notices to appear to people don't show up to. They just blend and melt into the general population.
Exactly. Is it called? What, the Gotaway? Are those the individuals who just have never been captured? People who
Hmm.
probably made it across and have never encountered law enforcement, and they just
Exactly.
made it made it
Yeah,
through.
when you have such massive numbers, I mean, they physically can't catch all of them, and so those are the gotaways. But like I said, there these a lot of these people are just willingly giving themselves up, but it's those people that are in these high speed chases, that those are probably the criminal element. And so, I mentioned earlier about how some of these activities are coordinated by the cartels. The
Yeah.
cartels will overwhelm a sector, so because they know the tactics, right? They know that a lot of the agents are going to be pulled in for processing, so that leaves this whole area over here miles and miles and miles unguarded. And so that's where they pass through, with whatever, fentanyl, drugs, uh, the criminal elements, that and God knows, what else.
And obviously there are good people going through, but you can't really tell. I mean,
Well,
we don't know exactly who the people are, right? I mean, it's almost impossible to know a, a good
well,
person. It's just there's so many people.
um, Dave, I look at it like this. If I had a jar of jelly beans that holds, I don't know, maybe 3,000 jelly beans,
Okay.
but there's 15 to 20, let's say it holds 2,000, and 15 or
Mhm.
20 I tell you are poisonous, right?
Yep.
And then I offer you a jelly bean, would you take it?
No. No. No.
Well, why not? I mean, my reasoning to you, and I'm talking about for the open borders advocate, my reasoning would be, well, come on, the chances of you getting a bad one are non-existent. You must be racist towards the red ones. You must be racist towards the purple ones. I mean, that's how I look at it now. Of course, I see that, a lot of these immigrants. I look at their eyes, and I see the desperation. I see the fear, right? And God knows what they've seen, right? But I also see some that, yeah, you don't really want to mess with. And I like looking at videos that, like the one you showed, videos out there that are out there, and I like to look at the body language. I look at the body language. You see some that are the poor, the destitute, the most vulnerable, right? They have a certain body language, and then I see the ones that are kneeling down this way. They've been through the same long, arduous road, but those guys, I mean, there's just something about their body language that should be really concerning. And what they're, some of these are maybe are the prisoners, some of these maybe
Yeah.
are ex military trained. And like I said, I'm a father of four with three daughters. They're in their teenage years where they like to be out with their friends. And as a parent, what's happening here is really concerning.
Yeah. What Someone just asked in the comments, why can't we bring the National Guard down there?
Well,
I don't know.
the governor activated the National Guard,
He did. Okay.
but honestly, all they did is help with processing. So rather than repel, rather than stop, it just made the, the situation worse. There were a couple of instances, and I'm sure there were more, but these were just the ones that I saw documented on video, where the coyotes and most likely cartel members were escorting large groups to the river and then handing them over to the National Guard. So there
Wow.
was there was a coordination between cartels, coyotes, and the National Guard. So
So what what do we need? Let's say you are the president tomorrow. Do we bring in the military? Do we what needs to happen? Someone's asking, are we beyond fixing the issue, or what solutions are there?
well, for one, send them back. Right now, you see what's happening, when the word has gotten out all over the world that when you come in here and you give yourself up, claim asylum, right? Um, you have to be processed, right? So you're sent to a holding facility. You're given a monthly stipend, then you're given a free ride to wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
And so that gets out to the rest of the world. And so you see now this influx of people from all over the world. You're seeing right now from Africa, you're seeing from the Middle East, you're seeing from India, even Chinese, and so I I'm not sure to what extent you want to cover the politics side, but it it is very concerning, and most of all, it's very frustrating, Dave, because we see that the federal government has minimal, if any, interest in this. And so then that leads you to believe, okay, so then this is an agenda, right? Because the people right now that are, I'm talking from the higher ups in politics, the people
Yeah.
right now that are for open borders, 5 or 10 years ago were on video against open borders. So
True.
something all of a sudden changed. And then this is just my opinion. I think that what they want to do is add to the millions that are already here. Some estimates range from, what is it, 15 to 30 million, and then eventually, because the next logical progression would be to legalize them. And if you look at the studies that show the socioeconomic status of them, uh, most of them will qualify for the full gamut of local, state, and federal benefits. And that's what my opinion is, as to why all of a sudden there was a change of heart, change of opinion. And once they get the majority of them on, after they become citizens, on the federal welfare, on the taxpayer dime, then they'll have a massive voting bloc. And if they have to use the most vulnerable amongst us, the most destitute, the most desperate amongst, for an agenda, I am pretty sure that agenda is not good for the average citizen.
Yeah, and but also they, and I guess the powers that be then don't care because these people are suffering. They may realize, you can come to America, but I don't know if they know what they're going to be getting into here because it's not a good situation for many of them. I mean, I know they're living in streets, they're homeless, and I know they are getting government aid in New York City and Chicago and elsewhere, but it's not a great I mean, it's not a great living for them, correct? For all of them. I mean,
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of them, when they get a ticket to wherever they tell the
yeah.
authorities that they need to go, I think they have a sponsor, but
Oh,
but they go with a family member or somebody that's already here. It's not uncommon to have 5, 10, 15 people living in a single room apartment, and they will find a job. They will find something that will get them employed, and they pull their money and then they ship it back to wherever their country of origin is, and
yeah.
then that allows then the next group to come in. And you gotta understand that even minimum wage, you know uh, for us, but to them is a lot, and
Yeah.
so they'll find a way to save up some money, send it back, and then have the next round come in. But that's neither here nor there. The concern is, though, if there is a political agenda where the immigration has been weaponized, that is more of a concern to me. Is if their intent is to establish a voting bloc of tens of millions, I can almost guarantee that that agenda is not for the benefit of the average citizen or even for America in general.
Yeah, because that's what or lawmakers should be doing. What is best for the people of
And
America and people like you and people you live around. And you told me Democrat, Republican, Independent. You feel the same way. You probably have friends you said who are Democrat, Republican, but you're on the same page when it comes to this.
exactly. Yeah, I have some friends that have been lifelong Democrats, and they, whereas previously they were feeling, one way about immigration, now that they are against it. And like I said, it's because we all share the same concerns.
Wow. Do you ever I was about to say, does anyone down there just want to say, "Hey, I'm moving." Allison, who I interviewed before, her husband works for Border Patrol. She said she literally can't pick up and move. But then again, your point is if this continues, you won't wherever you move, you're going to be dealing with this issue.
Yeah, we have discussed that, um, Dave, about moving, but the problem is, me and my wife both have our families here, and we're so rooted in the local communities that it's difficult to just get up and move. It's much easier said than done, and um, we are relatively safe, but like I said, it comes in waves. And so you just put your best foot forward, pray and move on. If an opportunity presents itself sometime in the future, yes, maybe, but like I said, we're both rooted here. Our jobs, our family. It is very difficult, not just for us, for anyone, to just get up and move. We have generations of family that have been here. And so it 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 it's difficult, but possibly if an opportunity presents itself, maybe.
Yeah. How far where you are sitting right now? How far are you literally from the border?
The border is about maybe about 4 or 5 miles from here.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I mean, the we live in the northwest part of the city, but
okay,
on the southern part, it's literally right there. I used to work in, you know what a maquiladora is?
I don't.
Maquiladora is an American-owned company in Mexico, and so I actually worked in Acuña. Acuña is the town that borders Del Rio,
Oh, okay.
and there are parts of the Rio Grande where you can walk across. I mean,
Yeah.
depending on the water level, but um, there were times when the water level is such that it's literally like 10 feet, and that you have to walk. You're on American soil, and so yeah, I wish there was an easy solution, but the fact is that there isn't, and now with the infrastructure that the same federal government created, um, I just don't see a solution anytime soon, and it's because of the economy that it's also created. It'll be very difficult, if not impossible, to dismantle the apparatus and to stop this.
One last, well, a couple questions. What's it like for the community or the police or the government? I mean, you're having so many more people. Like, what's it like just to go shopping or go around town, or the government, the agency? Is everyone just being taxed with all of the extra resources? What's it like literally just on a daily basis?
It honestly, David, I mean, it's not. Um, you can go shopping here. You can go
Yeah.
to retail. You can go to the local supermarket without much of a concern. Right now, Eagle Paso, that if you live in the downtown area, yeah, you got to have one eye, looking each way, because it can be. The, you know, let's say these people, let's say a lot of them aren't criminals, but man, when they get desperate, people do desperate things, and so yeah, it is concerning. The media doesn't cover a lot of what's happening. Do you remember, I think it was about 2 years ago, when we had those Haitian immigrants?
Yeah. With the horse. Yeah. Yes.
The horses, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they were later exonerated because they never did what the media claimed they did. But the media, and we had even the Reverend Al Sharpton come here
Yep.
lecture us about how racist we were. But the fact of the matter is that you had 18,000 under our international bridge here, and the people that worked there, and especially the agents, the border patrol, they were literally put under a gag order because they didn't want the people seeing what was actually happening. And the word got out from people that worked there is that there were feces on the floor, there were diapers on
Mhm.
the floor. I mean, it was just a terrible safety and hygienic mess, and there were a lot of condoms on the floor, and who knows what was really going on behind the scenes. They even there was a local journalist that used a drone to video that,
Yeah.
and
Remember that.
the government to shut it down.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
a-
Yep.
and so that could have easily been an outbreak of some sort.
And
Um,
when the media when they were exonerated, the media just did a little tiny
mhm.
story, a little bit. So many people probably don't even know that they were exonerated.
Yeah, yeah, and so that tells you the level of bias that in which a lot of this is being covered, and so God help us with whatever's coming down the pipeline, because you've seen the videos, you've seen what's actually happening in the Darien Gap, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's where the union of people from all over the world come in, and they make their way up the jungle and through those Central American countries into Mexico. Um, you know, it, when if you've seen the videos, but I think a lot of the people north have not. It
No.
is massively well funded and coordinated. You have caravans of charter buses. You have camps set up in different strategic points, and um, so somebody's funding this. Somebody's spending a lot of money, and it's at such a massive scale that it's somebody with deep pockets. And I mean, you know that you hear word that there's United Nations,
Yep.
and so that's why I say it's very difficult to stop at this flow, and especially when you have a government that doesn't want it to stop.
True.
So
And
yeah.
I I would hope I would hope to God that it would not take a 9/11 type event, because if you wanted to enter the country and you were a terrorist, I would go through the border because I might have a good
Mhm.
chance of making it. I would hope to God America doesn't have to experience something like that to wake people up, because there's a danger of that happening, right?
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, when you have parts of the border that are left unguarded because of the tactics that the cartels are doing, yes, they the, I'm going to share something that an agent told me several years back, and he was kind of cryptic, and I didn't really prod too much because I didn't I don't want to know,
Yeah.
honestly. But he was telling me, the things that we're seeing are just incredible. But he told me something very specific that stuck with me. He said, if they can buy the presidency of Mexico, they can buy anything over here. And so so now, if you were a cartel member and you had hundreds of millions of dollars that you're going to pass through a certain corridor, what would be the first thing you would do? You would grease the skids, so to speak, in that area, And so,
Yep.
so that's the other side of it. You have everyone from doctors to the principal down the street to the I, I of the level of involvement from everyone. you know it,
Every level.
yeah, it's really scary, and but if you that's why we just we're alert. We don't look for trouble, we don't ask for trouble, but what we're seeing here is something that honestly has never been seen before.
Last question. This is why I'm assuming the next election on a federal level, it matters. And it probably matters to listen to the candidates, no matter who they are, on whatever side they're on, about immigration, what they say, what they mean. That's why this is really going to be a very important election when it comes to that issue, right?
I can't stress how important the next election is, but um you're the way the media is going to cover it is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe the conservative side will want to bring up immigration, but the way the media will skew it will be, racism, bigotry, nativism. Um, but until it gets to their neighborhood, they don't really care. I mean, we went over that example of Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard, a land of elitists, mainly leftists, for 50. They called the National Guard and had them
Yeah.
escorted out literally within a day. Um, and so that tells you, what their true conviction is. Oh, it's okay as long as those people handle it. But when it comes to my neighborhood, no, we'll get rid of it really quick. And you're seeing it right now with sanctuary cities. You're seeing New York um, all of a sudden not be a sanctuary city. Our governor has bused a lot of these immigrants over there, and They don't want them. They've complained to the city, at the city level, at to the federal level, but we're the racists for sending them over there, not them
Do
for
you,
rejecting them.
yeah. Do you think I was in Chicago? They're having the same issue in Chicago, and there's a lot of people that are speaking up, hardcore like Democrats. They're disgusted. About the city services. Do you think maybe people are starting to wake up a little bit and realize what's going on?
I think so. I mean, you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing the backlash, and mainly because the influx has been in such historic numbers that it just overwhelms local systems.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're seeing the reports too, where people are being kicked out of the veterans being kicked out of government provided homes and shelters to accommodate the
Yeah.
immigrants.
Yeah.
How is that fair for somebody that risked his life for his country? You know, the and I'm going to share a story with you that my brother told me, because the media doesn't like cover this. There is it's called a Stripes. It's a chain of gas stations here in Southwest Texas.
Okay.
But this gas station, they have a place where you can sit down, have lunch. They have food services there. And
Yep.
my brother, he's a ex-airborne ranger that fought in the Vietnam War, and he was there just
Wow.
minding his own business, sitting down, eating, I don't know, a taco or something. And he said that this group, because the government would send these immigrants there to that stripes because they have a bus service there. And so sometimes you would see 50, 100, 200 people that all of a sudden they came in waiting for the next bus and a bus ticket to wherever they were going. Well, anyway, my brother was in there, minding his own business, eating, and he said all of a sudden this group of 10, 15 came in, and he started to look at what was going on, and he said, "Hey, you need to feed us. We're in your country." I mean, this is the attitude that a lot of these people are coming in with. And my brother, like I said, is ex-airborne ranger. He doesn't get intimidated really. He says, I don't, excuse my language, but I don't have to give you, you know,
Yeah.
um, so
Uh-oh.
these stories are thousands of stories that people are seeing and witnessing, and so I think there is an awakening. There is now a back. It's like, wait a minute, this is not right.
Yeah.
This is not fair. And so where this is going, where it's going to, whether the next election or not, we'll stop this. We'll wait and see. But it's definitely going to be a very interesting year next year.
Well, that's why I left the media, the mainstream, and I doing my own thing. I do work for some other companies to make some more money, but I think that we've been talking for 38 minutes. When I was working in TV news, they would only give me 2 minutes to tell a story. So I think doing something like this, I'm going to put it out tomorrow on my Facebook. I have 800,000 followers, and
Wow.
my goal is just to try to educate the average American what's going on. So,
And Dave, a lot of tragedies happen. You hear drownings, you have children that die, along the journey, and those are terribly, terribly tragic situations. But that the media will cover, and rightfully so.
yeah.
But what's happening on a day to day with the concerns that we're having, the high speed car chases, the crime, and like the video you just put out, that, from as far as I know, won't get covered, because it'll have people more opening their eyes and see the other side of it. The purposeful, the chaos that's created on purpose. The coordination. With the cartels, and that won't be covered, at least not from that aspect.
And it should be. It needs to be. And
Absolutely.
that, yeah, that's why I'm going to continue on it. Like I said, I would like to make my way down there. Maybe I could say hi and shake your hand when I come if I come down.
Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you, Dave, for getting this word out, especially to people up north that it's very difficult for them to really understand how massive, and I can't understand this, understate this, how massive this invasion is.
Yeah, and they need to know because, like you said, we've in Michigan, we've already been experiencing some instances of the bad people that have come through committing crimes here, and like you said, it's only going to get worse. So,
Well,
um,
and like, also, like I said, the the national security concern. Right now we're
yeah,
prodding the Russian bear. We're you know we, you have these things going on with China. But if you were them and you see that your enemy's back door is wide open, I mean, come on, I mean, really, um, yeah, and so. I don't know. I don't have, I'm not an immigration expert. I can only give you the viewpoint of for somebody that has lived here most of his life and that currently lives here and is seeing firsthand how massive this invasion is.
someone just asked in the comments, how can people change this? And I think the answer is to spread the word, to spread the message, and to right. I mean, that just to get the word out and to
E-
vote.
Exactly. Spread the word, spread the message, vote. Start at your local level. Start at the level of your local sheriff, the county sheriff, the county judge, the city administration. Where whether they're one way or the other politically affiliated, but that they care about the local community, that speaks out constantly to the state level, to the federal level, that not just takes this as part of an agenda, and because it agrees with your political affiliation, we're just not going to discuss it, or if we discuss it, we're just going to discuss it minimally and from this point of view.
Yeah,
So yeah.
just be engaged.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I appreciate you spending your Sunday night, and I'm going to save your contact information. I'm going to talk to Allison later in the week. Her husband's a border patrol agent, and they're just going through a lot too. Because
Well,
I can't imagine being one of the local, the sheriff or any law enforcement. They just have to be overwhelmed as well.
it's overwhelming, and like I said, I have friends that are in border patrol, and you see the frustration. You see how tired they are. They are just exhausted, and they are just like me. They have families, they have kids, and it's really not fair to them. There was my orcas came down here. Was it last year?
Yeah.
And did you see that video that kind of got leaked?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, they
Yeah.
literally turned their backs to him.
Yeah.
But they claim the border secure. But being on ground zero, I can tell you, and I can tell America, it's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. So the Biden administration, they say the border is secure, and your response to that is,
Let them come, let them see firsthand. And I'm not talking about the VP going to El Paso, where they will clean it up overnight. No, let them come here. Whoever wants to come here, let them see firsthand what's happening, and they'll see that it's completely night and day difference from what the mainstream media portrays it to be.
gotcha. Okay, well, I'll let you go, sir. Thank you very much. And I'm going to plan on making my way down there at some point, and I will meet up with you and Allison. You're all in the same area. I think she's in your same area, I think.
Well, Allison is a professional journalist, so I believe she goes all up and down the Southwest border. I'm
Yes,
just,
yes.
like I said, I'm just a concerned citizen in Del Rio, Texas.
You're the real, you're what matters. You're the real people. Okay, everyone in the comments are saying God bless you. They're saying prayers for you. So I will send you a link out to this probably tomorrow. And I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and you're doing a great service by getting this message out from thousands of people like me that have a concern.
I'm going to keep doing it. God bless you. Thank you, sir.
Likewise, thank you, sir.
Okay, goodbye. Great guy right there. Amazing man to talk to. And yeah, I am bringing you the stories that the mainstream media is not bringing you. And if you are not a paid supporter on my locals channel, please become one. You should be able to hit a button somewhere here. Actually, I can give you a link. Hold on. Let me give you a link on the screen. davebondi.locals.com/support. Hold on. Click that because I would like to have enough paid supporters to where I could go to the border and do a show and have a show with him in person. So I urge all of you to please sign up to be a paid supporter.